Good morning. So today we're going to be looking at learning outcome 4 of the People Management Unit. So over the past few sessions we've looked at the other learning outcomes, so we'll recap quickly over what they were. So learning outcome 1 was understand how structure, culture and other factors impact on people in organizations. Learning outcome 2 was understand how to manage individuals and teams in order to achieve sustainable business performance. And we looked at each of the assessment criteria within all of these. Yesterday we looked at learning outcome 3, understand how to develop individuals and teams in order to achieve sustainable business performance. So we looked at the different approaches, we looked at a few theories, and we looked at incentives and rewards. Today we're going to be focusing on learning outcome 4, and this is be able to review people management strategies in an organization. Now there are only 2 pass criteria within this learning outcome. So assessment criteria 4.1 is describe people management strategies in a chosen organization, and then 4.2 is assess the impact of people management strategies on individuals and teams in a chosen organization. And then we'll make a start by looking at this PowerPoint. So to reiterate, we're looking at learning outcome 4, be able to review people management strategies in an organization. So we're just going to look at a couple of slides as an overview. So this slide that you can see here is just an image of global forces. So it just gives you information on globalization, individualism, control technology, corporate integration, reverse globalization, collectivism, technology and how it controls me, and business fragmentation. So it's a good image just to have a glance at. And then we've got a summary of people management characteristics. Now, we will actually go over what blue world, green world, and orange world is. So we've got a few headings here: resourcing and succession, talent management, employee engagement, reward and performance, and learning and development. And now these headings here, it shows you how it affects each of these little organizations. So within the blue world, resourcing and succession will have long careers and career planning, and then our succession plans for key performance. In the green world, it will be holistic whole company approach to manpower planning. In the orange world, is short-term careers, lots of contracting, and HR is strongly focused on filling fixed-term vacancies. So it's a nice table to look at and refer to how these headings affect these 3: blue world, green world, and orange world. So we're going to go into 4.1, which is describe people management strategies in a chosen organization. So corporate is king, so the blue world. We're going to be looking at the blue world over here. So this is where the big companies' capitalism reigns supreme. So the globalizers actually take center stage. There's consumer preference is dominating the actual organization. There's a corporate career separates, and so it separates the haves from the have-nots. So we'll go into this image here. So we've got something here that says heading that says who leads people strategy. And we've got a few points here. So the Chief People Officer, the CPO, is a powerful and influential figure and is sometimes known as the head of people and performance. Then we've got organizational challenges, so things like quality assurances across the globe and how it needs to be consistent within the organizational supply chain. And then we have employee profile. So people are graded and profited at the age of 16 and categorized to work suitably, both in terms of capability and individual preference. And then we go on to the green world. So this is companies care. Now this is where consumers and employers force a change. So companies develop a powerful social conscience and green sense of responsibility. So consumers demand ethics and environmental credentials as a top priority. And society and business see their agenda align. So this is where people want to be more green, they want to be more ethical. And then we have the orange world, small is beautiful. And this is where big is bad for business, for people, and for the environment. So global businesses fragment, localism prevails, technology, and it empowers a low impact but high tech business model. So networks will prosper while large companies will fall. And then we've got a few headings here. Who leads people strategy? So people strategy is replaced with sourcing strategy, as maintaining the optimum supply chain of people is key to this network build. Then we've got organizational challenges, is where the network can break down and it can be a smaller organization. Then you have an employee profile, and its responsibility for skills development shifts to wholesale individuals. And people are more likely to see themselves as members, as part of a professional network. And then you've got a image here, a little cycle, a performance management cycle. And it just shows you how the company strategy works. So you're defining team objectives, you're allocating individual targets, you're doing monthly appraisals, annual appraisal, and then annual team review. So it just goes in a circular motion and it just works off each other. And then we're going to be looking at goals and targets. So SMART, so specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timed. So these are SMART targets. So staff will come up with their own targets and the management will actually tweak them if necessary, and then they'll both come to an agreement of those targets. Staff members will know what's actually expected of them, and then staff can actually see how well they're doing. So like I said, it's a set of performance indicators. So you're measuring yourself off specific targets, measurable targets, achievable targets, relevant, are they actually relevant to what you want to achieve, and timed, how long will it actually take you to do. And then we go into staff appraisals. So these can happen in a number of ways. So via supervision, meetings, one-to-one, via informal discussions or formal meetings that you're going into. So the basis of these are the following points. So introducing yourself and settling in. So you're establishing a rapport. You're agreeing to an agenda for the meeting. You're reviewing any last meeting notes that you might have had and also any actions that might have come from that. You're reviewing your recent experience, so you're listening to what others have to say and also to the feedback. You're reviewing any difficulties that you might have had, any problem areas. You're overviewing any future work. You end on a positive note, and then the manager will take brief notes, and both of the manager and the employee will actually sign them as part of the personnel file for your own records. And then we've got annual appraisals. So these appraisals come apart from any actions that might have come up from the previous year's appraisal. So you review each target. So any target that's not been achieved, you ask why not? Were there any problems and how were these addressed? You have a performance overview, so you're getting feedback. And then you're agreeing on targets for the next year. So this process is facilitated by giving staff a questionnaire beforehand, and they're filling that out, and then you're getting to know exactly what has and has not been done. And then you both agree and sign it off, and all this end on a positive. So we have policies versus procedures. So we all know that policies are like, it's like a guiding, it's a guideline, it's like a principle that is set out within the organization of the things that you should work towards, the standards that you need to set. A procedure is a series of steps that needs to be followed. So it's like a consistent and repetitive approach to make sure that you're achieving a particular result. So policies are rules that employees have to follow. And you normally got policies on health and safety or on behaviour policies, and they just set out in a handbook. So you normally get an employee handbook. So you got things like staff expenses, and that'll tell you what sort of allowances each staff have and how to go about claiming them and getting your expenses back. So example policies, these are the policies that will actually impact on your work planning. So you've got performance appraisal. So how will this affect your work management? So obviously if you're getting a performance appraisal, you're looking at how you're working, what your performance is like, and maybe you're discussing this or you're reflecting upon it yourself, and you're seeing what things can I do, what actions can I take to increase my performance, how well am I doing? And that will actually help you to, maybe improve your own work. Flexi time. So are you doing remote working? Are you coming in part-time? Are you doing odd hours? General conduct. So like timekeeping, being absent, paternity and maternity leave, and sickness and compassionate leave or any special leave. So all of these policies will actually affect your work management. You'll be able to know exactly where you stand and how you're expected to behave. And then we're coming on to Maslow. Now, we've looked at Maslow within yesterday's session in Learning Outcome 3. So Maslow is quite prevalent within this unit. So we'll recap. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, he believes that each person has basic needs that need to be met. So at the bottom are the most basic, which is biological and physiological needs. So like basic life needs of food, water, sleep. Then you have safety needs, is protection, security, stability, belongingness and love needs, family, affection, relationships. Then you go into esteem needs, so achievement, status, responsibility, and then self-actualization. So it's your personal growth. Now, Maslow within the workplace is implemented in a slightly different way. So this is how Maslow's theory will be implemented at work. So for biological and physiological needs, you need breaks, you need heating on, air conditioning, you need to be able to have access to food. So if you don't have a canteen, you need a staff room where you can put fridge in, tea, coffee. Safety needs, so safe working environment. So things like pensions, and also if you want to join a union. Belongingness and love needs, so social events, team building. Esteem needs, so incentives, promotion and responsibilities. And then self-actualization is challenge and opportunity. So Maslow's theory actually, like I said, it talks about meeting the basic needs of employees. So like psychological, where their well-being is being looked after, they're safe, they belong, and they have a good self-esteem. So for this to be applied at work, managers actually implement a diversity of training needs. So what they do is they celebrate people's differences and make sure that everybody is involved and included. Safety issues, obviously they're governed by law. So like we mentioned previously in another learning outcome, where managers actually take that extra step to look after their employees, it makes the employees a lot happier at work. They're feeling more comfortable at work. So if you're using comfortable chairs, you've got a nice selection of tea and coffee at break, you're not limited on how many times you use the bathroom, these type of things that actually will help you feel safer at work. And then again, employees need to feel respected by their managers and co-workers. So just having a mutual respect for each other is very important. But then we have the aims of reward management. So, like yesterday, we talked about incentives and rewards. So this is carrying on from there. So a reward system, it actually should satisfy the goals within the strategy of the organization. So it should be attractive reward, it should be cost effective, but it should also be fair. So there can be quite a few variations of these awards. So it can be a mix of components, so it could be fixed, variable, and indirect rewards. So the objective reward management is to actually, you're going to be rewarding your employees fairly. It's going to be consistent. You're going to actually come up, if you say you're going to give them a reward after doing certain tasks, or if they finish something within a timely manner, and you need to make sure that you actually come up with that reward and you're not just speaking emptily. So you reward people according to what the organization values and what it wants to pay them for. You reward people for the value that they're creating. You reward the right things to convey the right message. So you're rewarding good behavior, good outcomes, but you're not rewarding bad behavior or bad outcomes. You don't want someone rolling up to work late every single day, barely doing any work, but then you're giving them a bonus at the end of the month. It's not going to help you create the right image for the staff that actually do work on, turn up on time, and actually doing their tasks daily. They're going to think, if that person's getting away with murder, why can't I? You want to be able to maintain and motivate people, so you want to get their commitment and their engagement. You want them to stay with you. And you want to be able to attract the right quality of people within your own department. So when people are rewarded appropriately, so in relation to what they're doing for the organization, their relativities between the jobs are measured as objectively as possible, and equal pay is provided for work of equal value. So you're going to make sure that you're actually giving them a reward that is equitable to what they're actually doing. It helps them to function consistently, so decisions on pay do not arbitrarily, they're not going to vary, and not without due course between different people or at different times. And then you need to operate transparently, so understand how people process and reward them in accordance to that, and see how it will affect them. So we looked at this chart in the Learning Outcome 3, and it's here in Learning Outcome 4 also, so components of total reward. And like we said, we've got transactional rewards, we've got relational rewards. So transactional rewards are base pay, contingent pay, and employee benefits, and that goes into total remuneration. And then we've got relational rewards, which is learning and development and the work experience, and this is non-financial intrinsic rewards. And all of the total outcome for this is the total reward that they're receiving at the end. So the total reward is actually holistic. It's not, reliance is not placed on one or two reward mechanisms. It's actually taken into account in everything that people are doing and how they can be rewarded and what sort of satisfaction they're getting through their work. So it might not be materialistic rewards, it might be intrinsic rewards where you're just feeling happy and you're successful that you've achieved the task you were meaning to do. So that was 4.1. Now we're going to go on to 4.2, which is assess the impact of people management strategies on individuals and teams in a chosen organization. So we've also got an image here. It says, how can organizations plan for the future of people? So we'll need to prepare ourselves for a new generation entering the marketplace. So this is a significantly more mobile generation with different expectations from their employer. They're more tech savvy. They're a lot more modernized. So we need to know how to adapt for this. So we look at which world are you heading towards? Are you the blue green, orange, or is it something different? So what are the scenarios for your organization? So what do you need to do to get there? And how will you better understand the evaluation techniques and the benchmarking and the measurements? And then we've got how. So how will your organization need to change? So resourcing, talent management, employee engagement. And then it goes on to how again. So how will your organization's culture respond to the environment of constant change? So what will be the role of leadership and what behaviors are most desirable to you? So this is a nice thing to go over so you can assess the impact. So I want to refer you to the unit specification sheet. Now on here we have indicative content. Now this indicative content is structured out for each learning outcome. So you've got the indicative content for learning 1 here, and it just tells you what sort of things you should be including within your assignment. So I'm going to scroll down to the indicative content for learning outcome 4. So learning outcome 4, we've got the people management strategies over here. So it gives you an idea of what things you should be including in. Then strategies for improving performance. So incentives, bonus, schemes, and so on. And then you've got impacts on. So it impacts on individual teams, performance, staff retention, employee satisfaction. So these are the things that you would need to be including within your assignment.